Hello children, we are going to start new lesson number 14, water. We know that water is essential for the survival of all living things on earth. There are many activities like drinking, brushing, bathing, washing utensils and clothes, toilets, cleaning floor that need different amount of water. You can add some more activities to this list. There are some more activities like watering plants or irrigation of crops, production of electricity, production of things in factories and industries that also need plenty of water. So, where do we get water from? That means, what is the source of water? Rain is the main source of water. Still, we can say river, pond, lakes, seas, oceans are the sources of water from where we get water. At our homes, we get water from ponds, lakes, rivers, and wells. About two-thirds of the earth is covered with water. Most of this water is in oceans and seas. Yet, oceans and seas, and many salts and minerals are dissolved in it. The water becomes saline and salty, so it is not fit for drinking and other domestic, agricultural and industrial needs. Yet, oceans play an important role in supplying water that we use. The water that we use is not salty. Many of us live in places far away from the oceans. Does the water supply in these places also depend on the oceans? Yes. How does the ocean water reach ponds, lakes, rivers and wells which supply us water? How come the water from the sources is not saline anymore? For answering all these questions, we need to understand about water cycle. Before going to water cycle, we should understand the meaning of two terms, evaporation and condensation. What is evaporation? The process in which water gets converted into water vapor is called as evaporation. Evaporation is a continuous process that occurs day and night continuously. During daytime, because of sun's heat, the rate of evaporation is faster as compared to night. Here is given one activity where the two similar plates are taken. One of the plate is kept in sunlight and the other is kept under shade. In both the plates, equal amount of water is poured. Then you can use a cap of bottle to measure water. And observe these two plates after every 15 minutes. Does the water seem to disappear? From which plate does it disappear first? And what is the source of heat for this evaporation? To answer these questions, the water seems to disappear. Yes, the plate which is kept in sunlight, water from that plate seems to disappear because of sun's heat. What happened to that water? Water in the plate get evaporated. That means water is converted into water vapor. When wet clothes are kept for drying, after some time the water disappeared from those wet clothes. Where does the water go? Water from those wet clothes has evaporated, convert into water vapor, and hence the clothes become dried. Loss of water by plants. You have learnt in chapter 7 that plants need water to grow. Plants use a part of this water to prepare their food and retain some of it in their different parts. Remaining part of the water is released by plants into air as water vapor through the process of transpiration. So during this transpiration process also, plants lose water. Water vapor enters the air through the process of evaporation and transpiration. So this loss of water is forever? No. We get it back again as we are going to see the next activity, activity 3. Take a glass half filled with water, wipe the glass from the outside with a clean piece of cloth, add some ice into the water, wait for 1 or 2 minutes, observe the changes that take place on the outer surface of the glass. You will find some water drops on the outer surface of the glass. The cold surface of the glass containing ice water cools the air around it, and the water vapor of the air condenses on the surface of the glass. This process is called as condensation. The process in which water vapor convert into water is called as condensation. The process of condensation plays an important role in bringing water back to the surface of Earth. How does it happen? As we go higher from the surface of the Earth, it gets cooler. When the air moves up, it gets cooler and cooler. At sufficient heights, the air becomes so cool that the water vapor present in it condenses to form tiny drops of water called droplets. It is these tiny droplets that remain floating in air and appear to us as clouds. It so happens that many droplets of water come together to form larger sized drops of water. Some drops of water become so heavy that they begin to fall. This falling of water, we call it as rain. In special conditions, it may also fall as hail or snow. Thus, water in the form of vapor goes into air by evaporation and transpiration, forms clouds, and then comes back to the ground as rain, hail, or snow. Back to the oceans. What happens to the water that rain and snow bring to different regions of Earth? All land surfaces are above the levels of ocean. Most of the water that falls on the land as rain and snow sooner or later goes back to the oceans, and this happens in many ways. Snow in the mountains melts into water. This water flows down the mountains in the form of streams and rivers. Some of the water that falls on land as rain also flows in the form of rivers and streams. Most of the rivers cover long distances on land and ultimately fall into an ocean or an ocean. However, water of some rivers flows into lakes. The rainwater also fills up the lakes and ponds. Part of rainwater gets absorbed by the ground and seems to disappear in the soil. Some of this water is brought back to the air by the process of evaporation and transpiration. The remaining water seeps into the ground, and most of this water becomes available as groundwater. Open wells are fed by groundwater. Groundwater is the source for many lakes as well. It is also this groundwater which is drawn by hand pump or tube well. The more hand pumps or tube wells that are used in an area, the deeper we need to dig to find this groundwater. The loss in the level of groundwater due to overuse is worrisome, because if there is more digging of water from the ground, the less water will be available as in the form of groundwater. Paheli wants to share a concern with you. In those areas where the land has little or no vegetation, the rainwater flows away quickly. Why does it happen? Flowing rainwater also takes the top layer of the soil away with it. There are few areas where most of the land is covered with concrete. This reduces the seepage of rainwater into the ground, which ultimately affects the availability of groundwater. Where there is no vegetation or the ground is covered with concrete, there will not be seepage of rainwater into the ground, and therefore it will affect the availability of groundwater in that area. We now know that water brought back to the surface of the earth by rain, hail or snow goes back to oceans. Thus, water from the ocean and surface of the earth goes into air as vapor, returns as rain, hail or snow, and finally goes back to the oceans. This circulation of water in this manner is known as water cycle. This circulation of water between ocean and land is a continuous process. This maintains the supply of water on land. So children, in this video, we will stop here. In next video, we will see what if it rains heavily, about water cycle, the diagram, what are the different processes involved in water cycle, what are the different tips to conserve water, and what is rainwater harvesting. So bye children.